And the thing is when I'm communicating with them, I'll like let them know that they're doing something that might not be considered like a trait of a good human, or like a sane human. And either in the very next sentence or a few sentences later, they try to use the exact same thing that I said, and it never makes sense. So, example, they'll try to claim that I'm in a cult and that I only listen to the news and that I let other people tell me what to do or or what to believe or whatever. Like, and the thing is like I couldn't even be in a cult if I wanted to because I don't like humans that much, especially in large groups. But I also don't have like, I mean, I have a TV, but it's for gaming. I don't watch television. I don't watch the news. So, and then also, I am so much not like the other humans. I deliberately choose to be completely different than the other humans. So much so that other humans usually don't like me because I like to call radically honest. I'm blunt and straightforward. And also, like, I feel like every human should be safe, happy, healthy. Every human should be rich. Like, I don't believe in these class systems. Like, I'm completely different, so like I don't let other humans tell me what to think or how to feel at all. And anytime a human tries to, they'll be like, oh, you should be upset, and I'm like, don't tell me how to feel. I don't have a lot of friends. usually usually I like disagreeing with humans and debating them until they get violent. I like to make other humans think, but a whole lot of humans don't like thinking and it makes them mad. And so my mouth, it doesn't stop. It'll be like, you hit like a child. So I just keep going. But I've been debating these fake Christian Republicans who have KKK beliefs since I was a child, so I've gotten pretty good at it. And the thing is like a lot of the Republicans know that they're playing mind games. Like a lot of them know it, and they're doing it intentionally. Like they'll, try to play mind games, or they'll use word salad, manipulation, coercion, gaslighting. Like they'll use all of those tactics, and they know that they're using them, and they have no problem doing it because they've got an ugly soul. It's like it stinks all the way to high heaven. But then there are some Republicans who don't know because it's like they have been trained because they were abused by toxic narcissists, and so they just haven't learned a new way to human. Does that make sense? Like if they went to therapy, they would want to be more positive, not just for themselves, but also other people. And it would make them a better human, mind, body, and soul. But um, yeah, it really comes down to education, I think, a lot of it. But then, like, some humans enjoy insulting and hurting others because it releases hormones in their brain that makes them feel high. It makes them feel good about themselves. So while some of the Republicans are making fun of other people's for being drug addicts, they're literally making themselves high by hurting others. And that in like the scientific field and like the mental health field, usually that would be called a psychopath. People who get off on hurting others, or feed on others pain and suffering, and especially childhood pain and suffering. The humans who like to do all of that, those are usually called psychopaths. So it's weird that they choose to human like that, especially when there's so many stories that they've heard that has was meant to teach them to be a good human. And it's like they've gotten the opposite message from it. I don't know. It's weird. Because I once was a pro-life Republican, and so I know a lot of it is ignorance, and education, and also being raised by toxic narcissists. And so that's how they learned how to human, and they just don't know anything else until they learn it, how to act different. But a lot of them don't like to admit when they're wrong because they don't like to admit that they were gullible, or that somebody made a fool out of them, or that somebody tricked them. And so a lot of the MAGA will still support Trump, even though he shouldn't be voted for president. But like nobody should even support him as a human because of all of the awful things that he's done. But they won't they won't admit that because then they'll have to admit that he tricked them. And it's truly sad because when a human is able to admit when they're wrong, it is when they learn and grow easily and become better humans. And by them refusing to admit when they're wrong is them deliberately and intentionally preventing their own mental, emotional, and spiritual growth. They're keeping themselves at like a high schooler mentality. So that is why they are acting like adult wannabe high school mean girls or jocks or whatever. Like that's why they act the way that they do, because they're mentally and emotionally stunted simply because they won't admit when they're wrong. So it's going to affect everything in their life. And also they need to learn interpersonal communication because their communication skills are atrocious. Like, I don't expect all of them to have proper debating skills, but they've lost the art of communication entirely. So when one human says something, a MAGA person immediately assumes, like they assume everything, but they assume that that human is, it means the opposite. It's very weird. They've completely lost the art of communication and all of that. So they have a whole lot to learn, but they've stunted themselves back to in primary school. Like they've it's weird. Like, we'll be minding your own business, and out of nowhere, they'll come up to a complete stranger and tell them that they don't like something, that they got a negative feeling and they got triggered and got offended, and then they're voicing, their weird feelings to everybody else, trying to project those feelings onto everybody else, trying to convince other people to have those feelings, even though the other people feel healthy and insane and secure. It doesn't affect them in a negative way. They're like, oh, you should feel bad about that. And it's like, no, I don't feel that way, So, like, when they say horrible things about, trans people or whatever, they are telling everybody, they're like, hey, I got a feeling and I don't like that feeling that I got because of the other human. And so now I want to tell everybody about it because I want to try to convince everybody else to have the same feelings as me. It's weird. It's a very weird way to human. Like, instead of being happy, joyous people, they're constantly either fearful or hateful of everybody else that's not like them, and they feel the need to try to tell everybody about how miserable they are, basically. Because instead of spreading hate, they could be bowling, they could be fishing, but they sit on the internet and try to put others down, try to bully others, try to make fun of others, try to demonize others. It's weird behavior. I swear, it's like they see everybody else being happy and healthy and comfortable in their own skin and living a happy life, and it offends them. It makes them mad because they can't find their own happiness, their own joy. They're not happy in their own skin. They're not happy with the life that they're living. They're miserable in some kind of way. A lot of them are closeted gay, you see what I mean, or closeted trans. The only reason that they are anti gay or anti trans is because somebody else told them to be that way and have those feelings. And instead of living their life for themselves and being happy, because as long as they're not hurting anybody else, they should be able to do whatever they want, right? But like, instead of just living their life and making their life the happiest it could be, they want to try to push all their own pain and misery onto other people. They want to steal other people's happiness by trying to tell somebody else who's happy that they should feel shame or guilt. It's very odd behavior. And they will say the most off the wall, disgusting, sick, vile, twisted things, trying to demonize another human. And they don't realize that nobody asked for their opinion, right? So everybody's minding their own business and they are coming up with those thoughts themselves. They are having those nasty, disgusting thoughts themselves and trying to push those thoughts on other people. It's weird.